everyone will go, okay. And see, that conversation of how was your day, darling, was significant because it was a trigger point for someone to release all of that which was stored up for the day, including Janice and Tom and Richard that had annoyed them throughout the day, and their boss had given them the pay rise and all that. So you get all that information at the end, and it would form a lovely discussion point around dinner, discussing how each person's day had gone.
Yeah.
Sometimes with this whole art of technology that we live in right now, that's gone because we've spoken about it at the time that it happened.
Yeah.
And therefore, then when we get to the end of the day, we've got nothing actually further to discuss. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whatever it is, wherever you are. Welcome back to the Couple School Podcast. I'm joined, as always, by the lady of self-love herself, Charmaine Lawrence.
Hi, guys.
I got a question.
I know you got a question. Go on. Hit us with the question.
So, can I just throw the question out there, or do I need to add context? That's the thing. So, I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and he was like, he and his missus were trying to make sure that they had as many regular contact points throughout the day as possible, so that, because they'd hit a few roadblocks in the relationship and a few roadblocks in communication, and this is what he'd heard on some post wherever to do. So he just went all in. So they're touch pointing throughout the day. But what he found was they touch point throughout the day so much that when it got to the end of the day, they're both on their phones. So my question is, are we so accessible to our partners during the day that we have nothing left to say at the end of the day?
Sometimes I think people can overdo it. I'm a big believer in having at least 5 to 10 hits in your day with your partner. But when I say hits, I don't mean full-on conversations. I mean like moments of reminding them that, you know, you're thinking of them. Like, you know, even though you've seen them in the morning, it's like, good morning, I hope your morning goes well. Or, you know, what are you having for lunch, hon? Like, just simple little things. It doesn't have to be some big conversation. Or like, can't wait to see you later. What do you want for dinner? Like, little things. It doesn't have to be like, oh, guess what Sharon did at the desk? And really? No way. What's going on in your office? Those big conversations don't need to be happening. Just 5, 10 quick hits so your person knows that you're thinking about them and that you love them and that you can't wait to see them and all of that kind of good stuff. But I do think people can overdo it. Like, you don't need to talk on the way to work and then talk at break when you have a cigarette outside and then talk at lunchtime and then when you're walking to get a coffee. Like, the conversations don't need to happen. Just little hits. An emoji. That's it. That's all you need. Because you do need to be able to connect about something in the evening. Like, I feel like sometimes if you've done a big conversation, what are you going to talk about when you get home? Like, so, yeah, sometimes you can overdo it. But I think that you should be doing quick hits. I don't know. What do you think? I love a quick hit. I leave.
You really got to be careful how you say that. I'm just saying.
Quick hit.
Sorry, Jeff.
I leave him in the morning when I go to work.
And you said how much it irritates you, the fact that he's still in bed.
It irritates me that he's still in bed. And as soon as I get out of bed, he rolls over to my side. Okay.
It's warm. Don't listen. Don't.
Rolls over to my side. But I give him a kiss before, even if he's sleeping, I give him a kiss. And then when he wakes up, he will text me good morning, or I'll text him good morning. Or if I don't hear from him by 11 o'clock, I'm like, wait, so what? No good morning text? Then what's going on, kind of thing. And he'll be like, oh, sorry, babe, whatever. That's a text. And then basically I might text him saying, oh, you know, what do you guys want for dinner? I seasoned up the meat, blah, blah, this is what we're going to have. Like, I do those things. But to have a full-blown conversation, something had to have gone down that I'm upset about and I need him to make me feel calm. But a big conversation, No, we're working. We got things to do. We've got things to do.
I'm trying to think about my own schedule here. And Karen and I have regular hits right the way throughout the day that involves a multitude of WhatsApps and messages and then also conversations. And I put the three out there because it kind of signifies, I suppose Karen probably doesn't realize it, but I've influenced a routine around things. So like, if something's majorly important, we won't send a WhatsApp, we'll send a message. And the significance of the messages, it's not just WhatsApps for idle conversation. Messages are above all kind of thing. Call me now, do this, that. They're urgent. Then you've got WhatsApps, which is idle conversations. Then you've got the actual conversations themselves. There have been times when we've got to the end of the day and there isn't much to say because we've overcompensated throughout the day. So the conversations that you have with your partner need moderation.
Yeah.
Not the amount of interactions you have, I don't think. Because I don't think you can touch base with your partner throughout the day too much. But certainly the depth that you go to. And I think you've highlighted a major point here, because when we're talking about light touches. So when Karen and I talk on the phone, it's surface level, superficial stuff. We don't ever talk about relationship stuff really over the phone while she's at work. That's always a face-to-face conversation.
Yeah.
We don't talk about house logistics, so house finances, who's doing what, doing where, what have you. We don't really assess the diary over the phone. That's always a at-home conversation. Because you need to have that interaction with your said person. If it's an emergency, you must call me, what have you. That's always sent by message. General, like, she'll send me nonsense like stuff on Instagram. So would I. Like, you've seen this post. What the hell is that? Like, that sort of stuff. And so it's a general opinion on that. So we have several touch points throughout the day, and I think they're actually really, really important.
Yeah,
for you to maintain connection and stability with your partner throughout the day. And it lets them know that you're thinking of them without saying, "I'm thinking of you," type of thing. I saw something funny, I just need to forward it on to you, blah, 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 that sort of stuff.
No, I agree. I mean, I do think there's times, though, it depends on your work day, there's times when that you are just like, I don't want to talk. I mean, that's never for me because I talk a lot, kind of thing. But babe, sometimes he shuts all the way down. If he's had a busy day at work, like, he will shut completely down. And
so I'm going to come back to that. Go on.
There's no talking. It's kind of like, like, he needs recuperation time. And I have learned to give him that. And I'll just get on the phone with the girlfriend and start talking because I'm talking loads in the evening. So, but I do think that you just have to, you can get to the point where, like, I hate it though. Like, for him, if he's in a no talking space, he is on his phone. Like, scroll. And it frustrates me. I'm like, oh, you got time to be scrolling? You don't want to talk to me. You got time to be liking, but you don't want to talk to me.
I'm laughing because that's usually me. Karen's like this Facebook market. I'm like, well, okay, but you're looking at, like, a mattress is more important to me, Cool. Okay, cool.
But
I got you.
But for him, he sees that as like, that's his quiet time. Like, he just doesn't have to respond to anything. Like, he can just think. Whereas I'm just kind of like, okay. But like, when we do come home, generally, even though we've had our little touch points, we will still have a conversation about whatever's happened or whatever we've seen or someone said this or whatever. But the moment you're like silent for like 3 days, I wouldn't, that's a problem for me. Like, you can have a busy day where you're tired and drained and then you're quiet for that day. I don't know.
Silence in general is a problem for me. Like, I need to be, I don't care how it sounds. I need to be acknowledged when I come into the house. Like, I'm sorry. And the same way when she comes to the house, I wouldn't let her come in and not be acknowledged. And when I say acknowledged, that's a conversation. That's like, how was your day? What's happened since we've spoken? What's happened of significance that you didn't tell me whilst we spoke.
Yeah.
And that's a necessary conversation. That's when we get home, it's non-superficial for me.
Yeah.
You know, it's okay. I've got you in front of me now. I can read your body language and I can read your eye contact and the rest of it. Okay, cool. How was your day?
Yeah.
So I might have superficially asked that over the phone, but when we get home, that's when I can read all of you.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I'm asking the question again. How was your day? And now I'm analysing everything you said.
Yeah.
Not analysing in the sense of going too deep, but in the sense of going, well, how is she?
Yeah.
Against what she said, how is she? How are you really okay?
Yeah.
It's that type of situation.
You definitely kind of need to know your person. I think I sometimes just don't go into detail because I just don't want to replay. If I've had a bad day, I don't want to replay the bad day. I like to just shut that off, and I'm just like,
no chance of me.
I mean, I need to know not talking, but I will have a different conversation. We'll have to talk about something else. I don't want to talk about that. When I'm not in that space, like, I feel like when I work with teenagers, like, seriously, like, I have to just block them out. And so once I've blocked them out and I come home, I don't want to revisit dealing with that parent or dealing with that child or dealing with social services or I don't want to deal with that. I want to just come home to my little happy space and, like, do that. I think, but he's very different. Like, if he has had a tough day, he needs time. Just needs time. Like, there's no talk about something else. He just needs time to process what that is. So I just do learn to be silent, ladies. There's power in silence.
Learn it.
I've learned to go, do you need anything, babe? No, I don't know. Just
no.
ask him if he needs anything. What do you need? Do you need a glass of water?
No.
Do you need some food?
No.
Like, he always wants food. Always.
Sometimes I want food.
He always wants food. So it's just kind of like knowing your person, I think. Like, I don't know, like, it would be scary for me like, doing all the touch points in the day, then coming home and there's nothing.
And I put this in context. I'm saying no enthusiastically for a reason. For myself, it's you've got to give me space to process. The worst thing you can do, really, is if I giving you an answer like fine, no, or not right now, to push it. Like, it's the worst thing in the world. Worst thing in the world. You know? I need time sometimes to decompress, understand what's going on in order to articulate. I'll always talk.
Yeah.
I will. But sometimes that needs to be in my own time.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the lessons that Karen has struggled with over time, because she's quite a happy-go-lucky, bubbly kind of person, and I'm not. I'm a very internal, integral, and digest everything kind of person.
Yeah.
So, you know, sometimes at the end of the day, I'm just like, I don't want to talk about it.
Yeah.
I need time to adjust it. But on the flip side of it, and this is something that's caused us quite a lot of friction in our relationship, is that Karen is on my do not ignore list.
Yeah.
In fact, she's number one. Which means if you call me at any given point in time, I will answer.
Yeah.
Irrespective of what I'm doing. You have to deal with sometimes if you're talking to me about a rug, because that's what you want to talk about. You see on Facebook Market and you thought it would be cool. I might be on my way into a meeting, like about to step into a really important conversation.
Yeah.
It's really intense. I've seen your name and I've answered because it's you. Because it's you. And if it was anybody else, I would have flatlined it and gone about it. It's you. So I'm like, so you might have to deal with the fact that I answer angst. Like, are you okay? Like, and it's going to sound like a bark. I don't mean it. What I mean is, now's not an appropriate time to talk to me about the lamp that you've seen or the this, that, and the other. Like, this, are you in danger? Like, and that's the level that my head's. Are you in danger? Are you in danger? Is your life about to end? Like, what is it? and you need to tell me in a very concise period of time now.
Well, she didn't know.
She doesn't, which is why I've learned over the time. I don't. I'd love to say I don't vocalize that. It's very inaccurate, but I don't label it.
Yeah.
But my tone says it.
I'm busy. Your tone says I'm busy.
Yes, and I'm not apologizing for that. But what I'm saying is for anyone that's in a relationship, anyone that's similar to myself, you might find that because it was a bone of contention for us in our early relationship, and I had to explain it, like in order for her to understand that I'm not. If you phone me at that sort of point in time, I'm not barking at you. I'm barking because I'm in the middle of something.
Yeah.
And I need you to get to the point in the most concise possible fashion because I'll answer the phone because I think you might be in danger. Like,
yeah. So I'm buying the rug. See you later.
Yeah.
That you
or just
that?
don't. Or
just don't call
me.
Don't
call me for the rug. Understand? Okay, let's put it in context. Understand the power that you have is what I'm trying to get across. If you're someone's wife or someone's husband, and that person is someone that's in, let's put it blatantly, in sales, where they are in a boiler room type of situation where it's intense. The likelihood is if you call them on the off chance, on the cuff, that you're going to interrupt a meeting that they're walking out of, in the middle of, and what have you. If you are the significant person, then they will answer that phone call. But just because they've answered the phone call doesn't mean they're ready to answer the phone call or prepared or in a situation that's necessary. In which case, assess whether you can phone them at that time is the right thing to do, first thing. But secondly, don't judge him for the response you get.
So maybe she should have done a WhatsApp message.
That'd be better because you can park it and I can come back to it and I can look at it.
Babe, can I call you? Because I've seen a rug.
The thing is she's learned now. So
yeah.
Like, at the moment she's got on the thing about we're looking at different houses and stuff that we might want to buy in a year and a half's time. Now, historically, that's something that Karen would have called for.
Yeah.
Oh, babe, look, blah blah. And the thing is, you don't want to destroy the excitement because it's a good excitement. Oh yeah, you just call me when I'm about to walk into a meeting where I'm likely to lose thousands of pounds if I don't focus, and then you just disorient. So she's like, to the text.
I am the annoying partner that you go. He will say like, "Yeah, I'm fine." But you're not fine.
No!
I'm that one. But you're not fine. Just talk to me. Just tell me how you're feeling.
Shut your mouth. Leave me alone. Sorry,
I am that partner. Like, I find it do you know what it is? Because I'm a nurturer, I find it really difficult when something's wrong with someone and I can't help them. Like, I want to just help you.
I'm the same way.
Like, do you get what I mean? I'm just a nurturer and I'm just like, how long is this going to happen? Like, what can I do to help the situation? What can I give him that's going to make him feel good right now? Like, that's my thought process. Like, I'm fine is like, you're not fine. Like, and I know deep down he just needs to process. But like, I get over things really quickly when we speak. So if I say I'm fine and he says, what's happening? You're not fine, blah, blah. And he gets it out of me. I'm finished. It's over. It's dropped. So, but he will be, I'm fine, and go to sleep on it. And I hate it. I hate it because I'm like, I haven't solved his problem. Like, I haven't fixed this situation. And I know I don't. I know. But I'm a nurturer at nature. It's just what I do. Like, I don't like people to not be happy, especially my people. My household have to be happy at all times. And if they're not, I feel like it's like
my responsibility.
My responsibility for everyone to feel the way. And then he'll wake up the next day being like, "Morning," and I'm like, I didn't solve the problem, Andrew. I didn't solve it. Like, you know?
Sleep solved it. Tinkerbell solved it.
And I'm just like, okay, fine, kind of thing. But I've gotten to understand that that's his way of just, you know, getting through whatever that hard day looked like or whatever the case may be. Like, for me, I sometimes just need to just talk about it, and sometimes I'm just like, let's park it and I just be my happy-go-lucky self. Like I don't like to hold things. I drop it.
See,
which is difficult for some people because you could have a real big disagreement. You'd be so mad about it. I'm like, okay, we'll resolve it, and then once it's resolved, I'm like, okay, so what are you doing tomorrow? And I'll be over it because it's now resolved pretty quickly. You might need hours to just get through the feeling of this girl just pissing me right off kind of thing. But I can literally drop it as soon as it's resolved.
I think I'm a mix and blend of that. I think when we look at things logically, if everything's been answered,
yeah,
then to me it's solved.
Yeah, me too.
And I'm done.
Yeah.
In which case I'll park it because it's done. How you bring that back could form a new form of annoyance. And then I'm like, okay, well, what's your problem? Like, you're the problem, not the thing, because we dealt with that. What's up with you? And now I'm focused on you. And I can be quite annoying in that respect because I'll be like, my head's very good. My head's very, very good and efficient at compartmentalizing things.
Yeah.
So when something's done, as far as I'm concerned,
yeah,
and I accept that that's not always the same for anyone else I'm talking to. But when I'm done, and I'll park it.
I like the fact you said when you're done.
Yeah, I'll box it and I'll finish it. Now, I say that because in most circumstances, I'm the last one to be done.
Yeah.
Okay. Because I will have questions way past what you've got. To the point where that's usually the point of irritation for people. Because they're like, okay, but we're done. I'm like, yeah, but I'm not. So like, what about this?
Yeah.
What about that? And then, by the way, you breathed when you said X, Y, and Z. So what does that mean? You know, so I know in myself I can be hyper vigilant.
Yeah.
And I say this now really to illustrate to anyone that falls or finds some sort of connection with what I'm saying here. You have to be wary of your own behaviour.
Yeah.
You know, in the sense of going back, well, knowing how you are in a context of a disagreement or a misunderstanding to understand what parts of it are warranted and natural and what parts of it are just you.
Yeah.
You know, like for me, I have to be very careful about the bits of it that are just me. Because like, if I'm sitting there talking to someone, I'm not just paying attention to what you say. I'm paying attention to everything that's about you. How you sit, how you twitch, how you move, how you discern. And some of it is just me being really, really hyper vigilant.
Yeah.
That's not conducive to the conversation that we're having.
Yeah.
And I have to learn how to park a lot of that and go, well, that's just me. And allow the situation to play itself out. Rather than going, okay, but what about all of this? And bringing all of that into that conversation. You've got to learn how to separate which bits are you to which bits are relevant to the we conversation.
Yeah.
Side of things. You know?
With this situation where they're doing the touch points in the day and they come home and not communicating, is it something that has become, like, were they communicating before? Do you know? Well, or were they not in a good space before?
I think they weren't in a good space before, but I thought it was a good parameter because I think it's one of those situations that's faced by everyone.
Yeah.
In all mannerisms, in all contexts. Actually, you have some people that you're trying to do touch points throughout the day for 100%. They don't do it.
Yeah.
It's not because they don't want to, it's because they don't know how to.
Yeah.
And not because they don't want to, it's because it's just not them.
Yeah.
They'd rather have a conversation. You've got the other people that insist on having as many contact points throughout the day.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean they don't want to talk to you at the end of the day.
Yeah.
It's just run out of things to say.
I remember dating this guy and we would, I think I've said this on previous podcasts, he would call in the morning, we'd talk at lunchtime, we'd talk at the end of the day, and I would sort out my children or whatever, put them to sleep and whatever, and then we'd talk at night time. My friends were like, what the hell do you guys have to talk about so much? It is so, like, they're like, it's just too much. Like, they would just thought it was just awful. Like,
I wouldn't say that.
And I was like, it just depends. Like, there's always something to talk about. Like, and we never ran out of things to say. Like, it's just, I guess we're both just very talkative. Like, and there's always something that I've seen, or, oh, did you see this? Da, 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 da. Like, there's always something to talk. And I felt like at the time, it didn't feel like too much to me just because that's my character kind of thing. But lots of people find that too much. I just wasn't bothered. Like, I think I just try to accept people for who they are and what works for me. And even now, like dating someone that doesn't talk as much, it's okay because it means that I can talk a lot.
Nice to smile.
It means I can talk a lot, and I just like, he has a view, but his view is always really quick, simple, done, dusted, and I can move on to my next talking point. But yeah, I wouldn't like to be in a space where we're not communicating in the evening and we're just constantly on our phones. Unless you're on your phone, you're working in the evening, that's your job. It would be.
I don't think it matters.
I don't think it would be something I can do.
I think when it comes to your relationship, you need to be mindful of what the expectations and responsibilities with that relationship are. And the monitoring of yourself within yourself, and I say that in terms of laptops, computers, and this and the other, in your communal space, or in your communal time, should we say. It's probably more accurate saying to use. I think you have to be really, really mindful of that, because it's a very difficult conversation for someone to broach, because it's very difficult to say it without sounding needy. How does someone say, "Oh, you're not paying enough attention to me," without saying you're not paying enough attention to me? Like, it's very, very hard to do, but it doesn't mean there's any less value. When you're sat in a room with someone and you want to have connection with them, you want to have communication with them, it's nothing worse when that person just sort of sat there on their phone. And then as I said, we've talked about in previous things, we assess things for our fears. So if I look over at your phone and you're looking at mattresses or, I don't know, Kim Kardashian, whatever it is, I'm now assessing my importance against that. So Kim Kardashian's, I don't know, whatever it is,
it's more important.
It's more important to me. So, like, manure is more important to me. Now, to you on the phone, that might be an off channel. Like, you were looking at like the best slice of, I don't know, beef, best slice of steak, because you were thinking about the time, like the next date night that we've got, and we're going out wherever, and you want to take us to a steak restaurant. It might be. But at the time when I'm trying to talk to you and you're being nonchalant and not responsive, and I look over your phone and I see, I don't know,
steak.
The best way to grind up the last bits of steak that you don't want. What I'm hearing is that I'm the bits of steak that you don't want. So I suppose what I'm going at with that is you've got to be aware of other people's perspectives and perceptions with that situation, and make sure that their needs are listened to.
Yeah, and connection is so important. Like, in relationships, there is no relationship without connection. So you do have to focus on the connections. And I think if you are doing all these touch points in the day to the point where you have nothing to talk about, then reduce the touch points in the day. Reduce the depth of the conversations you're having in the day. Give it a good morning. How's your lunch? And I'll see you when I get home. That's it. Like, there doesn't need to be some big conversation. If you are having so much conversation that when you get home there's nothing to talk about, stop having the conversations throughout the day. Like, just reduce it, or even just bring the conversation up as well. Like, don't you think it's ridiculous that we're both sitting here on our phones doing, like, not even communicating? Like, just like sometimes say that. Like, sometimes you're at dinner. I've been at dinner before, and everyone's waiting for the food to come. There's a good 6 people at the table, and everyone's on their phone. And then we all look up and realise that we're all on our phones. Like, why are we all on our phones? Like, it's okay to just bring the topic of conversation up. Like, let's do what we're doing for the next 10 minutes and then come off our phone and do something together. Like, just bring the conversation up sometimes. But if you are talking so much during the day, where you don't have anything in the evening to talk about, cut those conversations during the day, because the evening is the most important, in my opinion. Having when you're together, that connection is important. Yeah.
It's the value of connection, you know. Like, as you're going throughout the day, as you said, like if you're touching base with each other so frequently and in such depth that when you get to the end of the day, you've got nothing to say. Cut the amount of conversation you're having throughout the day, and save it for the end of the day.
Yeah.
You know?
Cut it.
I had a conversation with someone a little while ago, and they're reminiscing on what it was like before the art of mobile phones. Before, and like, you left your partner in the morning. Say for argument's sake, if you're leaving out to work and you're, like, even if you take my own personal circumstance, generally speaking, I'm out the door by 7.
Yeah.
To do the drop off for the kids and then head off to the office. I didn't get back home till half past 6.
No, you would call your partner, but it's a long time to call your partner.
No, but some people did
pick up the work phone, call their
work
phone,
phone,
wait for the receptionist to put them through.
Yeah, but it's funny to think about it. Like, that's if the person had their own office.
Yeah.
Most people don't have that, so they wouldn't have spoken to the partner until they got home.
Yeah. But so even if they did, it was such a drama to do it. Anyway.
Exactly. So if they either did and it was a drama, or they didn't and they had nothing. So when they got home, everyone will go, okay. And see, that conversation of how was your day, darling?
Yeah.
Was significant because it was a trigger point for someone to release all of that which was stored up for the day, including Janice and Tom and Richard, and annoyed them throughout the day, and their boss and give them the pay rise and all that. So all that information at the end, and it would form a lovely discussion point around dinner, discussing how each person's day had gone.
Yeah.
Sometimes with this whole art of technology that we live in right now, that's gone because we've spoken about it at the time that it happened.
Yeah.
And therefore, then when we get to the end of the day, we've got nothing actually further to discuss. So, monitoring conversations that you're having throughout the day is my answer to the original question that we had for this one.
Yeah.
And make sure that at the end of the day, you save a little bit so when you do get together later on, it's not just talking telephones. It's the two of you looking at each other and going, okay, cool. This also happened.
Yeah.
Oh my God. And then you can have that conversation with them from there.
Yeah. Agreed. I'm on the same thought process.
Right. That brings us to the end of another episode. Thank you so much for watching. For those that have not subscribed, why have you not? Why have you not? Why have you not? I'm not trying to sound threatening, but I am. Why are you not? Please hit the subscribe button. It's somewhere down the bottom here. And also don't forget to ring the infamous bell on the top over there. That lets you know when the next posts are coming out. We will be live on Instagram on Tuesday at 8:30 for Couple School After School. Come and disagree with Charmaine. Not me. Disagree with Charmaine. We'll be live for discussion on this topic and anything else that you choose to bring up. We'll also be live for the next podcast available on YouTube and all available podcast streams on Sunday at 12 o'clock. In the meantime, you guys stay strong, you stay focused.
See you later, guys.
Take care.